A divine whisper echoes through the corridors of time, a sacred truth etched into the very soul of man, yet so often ignored in the blinding light of worldly affection. It speaks of a peril far greater than any declared enemy, a danger more insidious than any physical battlefield. This is the timeless warning against the soul-altering influence that doesn't arrive with a declaration of war, but with a gentle, disarming touch, the influence that seeks not to conquer your kingdom, but to lovingly, subtly reshape your very soul into a vessel for its own hidden purpose. History itself is a graveyard littered with the brilliant, broken spirits of men who mistook this influence for love. Geniuses who surrendered their divine spark not to a hateful foe, but to a devoted lover who slowly extinguished their inner fire. In this journey we are about to embark on, we will unveil the 6 sacred archetypes of women who transform lions into lambs, not through hatred, but through a devotion that subtly smothers. You will learn to forge your spiritual armor against their most potent weapon, the belief that they are helping you ascend, when in reality, they are orchestrating your surrender. If this message resonates with the deepest parts of your being, if you have ever felt this subtle erosion of self, let your spirit be heard. Like, subscribe, and share your testimony in the comments below. For in this shared truth, we find our strength and our freedom. Your journey back to sovereignty begins now. Let us first speak of the Leech, the soul who feasts upon the sacred wellspring of your potential. Picture the divine creative force flowing through you, a torrent of purpose and destiny. The Leech is drawn not to you, but to the vibration of this potential. She attaches herself to your energy, not as a partner to walk beside you, but as a parasite to drain the very essence of your being. Imagine the brilliant composer, Franz Schubert, hunched over his piano in a dimly lit Vienna apartment, channeling melodies that would echo through eternity. In the periphery lounges a woman, let's call her Marie. She does not understand the sacred geometry of his music. She does not feel the pulse of his soul in each note. She is deaf to his legacy, but exquisitely attuned to its byproducts. She cares deeply for how his growing fame reflects upon her, how his exhausting pursuit of mastery funds her fleeting desires for fine silks and social standing. His creative exhaustion, the very draining of his life force, only makes him more pliable, more susceptible to her whims. Schubert, like so many men touched by greatness, is blinded by the illusion of affection. He cannot perceive the trap until his spirit is weakened, until his health has been sacrificed upon the altar of her needs. He doesn't see the truth until the late nights of divine creation become bitter arguments about why he is always working, why his purpose takes precedence over her comfort. He doesn't understand until his physical body fails him from the relentless stress and the gnawing poverty, dying at just 31, leaving behind a universe of unfinished symphonies. His fortune was squandered on a woman who moved on before his body was even cold, a ghost who had already feasted and left the husk behind. The great philosopher Schopenhauer saw this pattern with chilling clarity. He wrote that some are childish, frivolous, and short-sighted, unable to grasp the vastness of a man's divine mission. They are not partners in the climb. They are weights that drag you back into the mundane. The Leech operates with a devastating 3-phase strategy. First comes the hook. She mirrors your passions with terrifying precision. "I love that you are building something from nothing," she'll whisper, making you believe you've finally found a soul who sees you. "Perhaps I will start my own creative journey too," she'll muse, creating the illusion of a shared path. But she won't. It is a carefully crafted illusion designed to lower your defenses. Second comes the shift. Your divine purpose slowly becomes our purpose. Your dreams are subtly merged with her desires until they are indistinguishable. Then, any time you invest in your own sacred work is framed as an act of selfishness, a betrayal of us. "Why must you spend so much time on this?" she'll ask with a wounded tone. "Don't you miss us?" The guilt is a potent poison designed to make you question the very mission your soul came here to fulfill. Finally, the third phase, the sabotage. This is where the true spiritual erosion begins. Deadlines are missed because of manufactured emergencies. Opportunities are lost to sudden, inexplicable dramas. Guilt trips are disguised as loving concern. "You seem so tired," she'll say softly. Maybe you should just quit. We would be so much happier then. History is replete with these tragic symphonies. Consider Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who taught us to transcend, being himself emotionally dismantled by Lou Andreas Salome, a woman who feigned intellectual partnership while mocking his life's work behind his back. Think of Vincent van Gogh, whose vibrant soul was bled dry by a woman who consumed his meager resources, leaving him with nothing but a hollowed-out studio and a spirit in tatters. Even kings are not immune. King Henry VIII torched the stability of his entire empire for Anne Boleyn, a woman who feigned devotion only to betray him the moment the crown was secure on her head. This is not ancient history. This is happening right now, in quiet rooms and loving embraces, to men who do not see it coming. So, how do you spot this energy before it sinks its teeth into your soul? You must become a discerner of spirits. First, employ the ambition test. Ask her, with genuine curiosity, what is the one thing you would sacrifice everything for? If she cannot answer, or if her answer is simply you, then you must understand the danger you are in. A soul without its own divine purpose, its own sacred mission, will inevitably make yours its hostage. She will live vicariously through your fire until she consumes it entirely. Second, conduct the time audit. For 1 week, meticulously track how many of your precious hours are spent on activities that fuel her comfort versus those that build your legacy. Be brutally honest. If every free hour is hijacked by her needs, her dramas, her emergencies, you are not in a partnership. You are being farmed. Your life force is a resource being harvested. Third, perform the legacy check. Project yourself forward in time. Imagine yourself at 80 years old, looking back on the tapestry of your life. Will you remember her fondly as the woman who championed your ascent? Or will you feel a deep, soul-crushing resentment for the chapters she subtly convinced you to erase, for the great works left undone, for the mountains left unclimbed? The answers to these questions are your divine guidance. Heed them. Now we must speak of an even more chilling archetype, the backstabber. This is the woman who waits for your weakest moments to strike. There is a special kind of cruelty in this betrayal, not the heat of a sudden, passionate rage, but the cold, calculated precision of a blade slid between your ribs when you were already bleeding from another wound. Schopenhauer saw this brand of malice as uniquely feminine, a different frequency of warfare. He observed that while men may duel in the open, some women are conditioned by society to wage their wars in whispers, to strike from the shadows with devastating accuracy. The most dangerous of all is the one who has earned your complete trust. She does not fight you head-on. She doesn't scream or throw plates. She smiles. She nods. She tells you everything is fine, all while meticulously gathering the ammunition she will one day use against you. Her betrayal follows a 3-stage ritual of destruction. First, she creates the illusion of safety. She positions herself as your ultimate confidant, the one soul in the universe who truly understands you. She listens with rapt attention to your deepest fears, your most shameful secrets, your most painful vulnerabilities. The deeper the wound you share, the tighter she holds it, until she owns your vulnerability as if it were her own. Second, she exhibits the patience of a spider. She waits. She does not strike when you are strong, not when you can fight back. She waits for the perfect storm, for the moment when life has already knocked you to your knees, when your business is failing, when your father dies, when your health collapses. That is when she chooses her moment. Finally, the third stage, the twist of the knife. Her attack is never direct. It is a masterpiece of plausible deniability. She accidentally leaks your secrets to mutual friends, framing it as a moment of genuine concern. She files false accusations, using your own pain and past struggles as evidence of your instability. She weaponizes your deepest wounds, the very secrets you entrusted to her in your most vulnerable moments. History remembers Lord Byron as a romantic poet, a libertine who burned through lovers and left a trail of brilliant stanzas in his wake. What history often forgets is how his wife, Annabella Milbanke, systematically dismantled him. At first, she played the devoted spouse. She praised his work, she nursed his dark moods, and she convinced him she was his sanctuary. Then, when his debts mounted and his reputation frayed, she struck. She accused him of insanity, of cruelty, of unspeakable vices. She didn't just leave him. She orchestrated a public campaign to ensure that all of England turned against him. Byron, broken and exiled, wrote in a letter, "The cruelest lie is the one wrapped in kindness." This is the backstabber's signature move. To protect your soul, you must learn her ways. First, use the secret test. Share a minor, controlled vulnerability, a small fear, a past mistake. Watch her reaction carefully. Does she comfort you with genuine empathy? Or does she comfort you by subtly reinforcing that insecurity? "I'd never judge you for that," she might say, followed by, "But wow, that's really messed up." She is cataloging your weak points for future use. Second, conduct the loyalty audit. Watch how she treats people who can't benefit her: the waiter, the subordinate, the old friend. Does she mock them behind their backs? Does she abandon allies the moment they're in trouble? A woman who betrays others will, without a doubt, eventually betray you. Third, run the crisis simulation in your mind. Imagine your life collapsing, job loss, illness, scandal. Now, ask your soul, in the quiet of your own heart, would she stay and fight beside you, or would she be the first to light the match and walk away from the ashes? Your intuition knows the answer. We now turn to the imposter, the woman who does not destroy you, but replaces you. This is a theft more intimate than stolen money, more violating than stolen secrets. It is the theft of a man's very essence. Schopenhauer saw this crime as uniquely feminine, the act of a woman who does not just enter a man's life, but rewrites it. She does not love you. She loves what she can mold you into. And if you resist her sculpting, she will erase the man you were and install a puppet in your skin. This archetype can also be called the idol, for she demands a form of worship that is all-consuming. There is a special kind of hell reserved for men who confuse this kind of love with devotion. It's not the fiery torment of passion, but the cold, airless vacuum of a shrine. She doesn't want a partner. She wants a congregation. She rewrites your theology, your very belief system, until she is the central deity you serve. History whispers of these women in the ruins of great men. In 19th century Paris, the great sculptor Auguste Rodin was not yet the titan we remember. He was a starving artist, his hands aching to carve raw, primal passion into stone. Then came Rose Beret, his lover and muse. At first, she seemed devoted, cooking his meals, posing for his statues, whispering encouragement. But slowly, something sinister took root. Rodin's early works were wild, throbbing with untamed masculine energy. Then, under Rose's influence, they softened. The raw edges were smoothed. The primal fury was tamed. By the time he sculpted The Kiss, his signature rawness had been polished into something palatable, something marketable. Rose hadn't just supported him, she had edited him. When Camille Claudel, another lover and a brilliant sculptor in her own right, tried to pull Rodin back to his authentic, wilder style, Rose ensured she was institutionalized. Rodin's legacy survived, but his soul had been hollowed out. This is the imposter's masterpiece. Not to break a man, but to remake him in an image she finds more pleasing, more controllable. Her process is insidious. It begins with the bait. She identifies your deepest, most profound unmet need, be it validation, purpose, or a sense of belonging, and she expertly positions herself as the one and only solution. "You're so much more than this," she'll say, her voice a balm to your wounded ego. "With me, you'll finally be seen for who you truly are." Then comes the chisel. She begins small, with tiny, almost imperceptible critiques. "That shirt doesn't really suit you. Those friends are holding you back." Then the suggestions grow bolder, more seismic. "You'd be so much happier if you quit your passion and got a real job." Each suggestion is a small chip away at the man you once were. Finally, the forgery is complete. You wake up one day, and your old life feels like a discarded draft, a story written by a stranger. Your style, your hobbies, even your patterns of speech, all bear her invisible fingerprints. You are a perfect replica, a hollow forgery of a man. To spot her before you disappear, you must perform 3 sacred tests. First, the echo test. Pay close attention to how often she says we instead of you. We should move to the suburbs. We need to dress more maturely. The imposter doesn't see a partner. She sees raw material. Second, the past audit. Look at old photos, read old journals. Does your current self feel like a natural, authentic evolution of the man you were? Or does it feel like a foreign implant, a personality grafted onto your own? Third, the resistance gauge. Try reclaiming a discarded part of your old self, a controversial opinion, a childish hobby, an old friend. Does she support you in this reclamation of your sovereignty? Or does she punish you with silence, sarcasm, or subtle sabotage? A man must keep a room in his soul where no woman is permitted, not even in thought. This is your holy ground, the uncompromisable core of your being. Define 3 non-negotiable traits that make you you, your curiosity, your craft, your resilience, and never ever barter them for affection. Finally, we confront the void, the woman who swallows men whole. There is a hunger in some women that no amount of love can satisfy, not because they are broken, but because they are bottomless. Schopenhauer saw this type not merely as toxic, but as cosmically dangerous, the woman who does not want a partner, but a sacrifice. She is also the siren, who poisons with pleasure. There is a special kind of damnation reserved for men who mistake the euphoria she provides for love. It is the slow, sweet paralysis of a mind drugged by its own dopamine. The siren does not need to be beautiful. She only needs to be potent. She weaponizes pleasure, lacing each kiss, each touch, with a subtle toxin that erodes your will, your judgment, and finally, your soul. She will not rest until every ounce of your time, your energy, your very identity is digested into her abyss. History remembers Ernest Hemingway as the archetype of rugged masculinity, but he was ultimately destroyed by such a woman, his 4th wife, Mary Welsh. At first, she played the devoted editor, helping him refine his work, but over time, her suggestions became demands. She cut entire chapters from his manuscripts, rewrote endings to suit her own taste, and systematically isolated him from peers who dared to criticize her influence. By the time Hemingway put a shotgun in his mouth, his once spare, powerful prose had become a bloated, disjointed mess, a perfect reflection of his own psyche. The siren does not break men. She unmoors them. She doesn't live in a gothic novel. She's in your gym, your DMs, your wellness retreat. She's the girlfriend who introduces you to a new thrill, just for fun, then slowly takes control of your supply. She's the tantric healer who blurs professional boundaries until you're paying her hundreds of dollars an hour for energy alignments. She's the polyamorous muse who demands you unlearn jealousy, while she monopolizes your every emotional resource. The void does not attack like a predator. She infests like a parasite. Her signature is this: she replaces your life with her hunger. To spot her before you are consumed, you must apply these final, crucial tests. 1. The withdrawal test. Spend a month without her. No contact, no checking her social media, no fantasizing. Do you feel clear-headed and liberated, or do you feel hollow, desperate, and lost? If absence feels like a detox, you are not in love. You are an addict. 2. The cost audit. Make a list of everything you have sacrificed for your connection with her. Health, money, friendships, dreams. Now, ask yourself with brutal honesty, would she do the same for you? If the scales tip violently in her favor, she is not a partner. She is a tax on your existence. 3. The shadow pleasure test. Explore your favorite vice without her. If the experience feels flat and meaningless, unless she is the one providing it, she is not your partner. She is your dealer, and your soul is the currency. Schopenhauer's solution was merciless. He understood that no man can fill a bottomless cup, and no woman who demands such filling is worth a single drop of a man's life force. There comes a moment in every man's life, a moment of reckoning, when the scales fall from his eyes. It does not come with the gentle flutter of revelation, but with the visceral, tearing rip of flesh freeing itself from hooks. It is the instant a man realizes he has been not just wounded, but alchemized. His pain has been turned into her power, his suffering spun into her narrative, his very essence distilled into a cautionary tale for the next unlucky soul who crosses her path. But this is not the end. This is where you begin again. In 1914, the Austrian painter Egon Schiele was arrested for obscenity. His crime? Sketching nudes that were deemed too raw, too real, too unfiltered for public consumption. The trial broke him financially, socially, and creatively. Yet in that crucible, something extraordinary happened. Stripped of his patrons, his reputation, and all the external trappings of success, Schiele began producing the most brutally honest and powerful work of his career. He created portraits that didn't flatter, didn't seduce, didn't perform. They simply were. By the time he died at 28 during the Spanish flu pandemic, he had achieved what few artists ever do. He had stopped painting for anyone but himself. This is your blueprint. The path to reclaiming your sovereignty is a sacred and solitary one. First, the amputation. You must identify every part of your life still entangled with her friends who report back to her. Habits formed only to please her. Even the music you can't listen to without conjuring her ghost. Then, you must cut it all out. Not with anger, but with the cold clinical precision of a surgeon removing necrotic flesh. Second, the fasting. For 90 days, you must abstain from all romantic contact. Not just with women, but with the idea of women. No dating apps, no fantasies, no just checking her social media. This is a detox for your soul. Third, the Reformation. You must rebuild your world around one non-negotiable principle. I will never again trade my sovereignty for affection. Write your own anti-shepherd, a list of every belief she implanted, then systematically disprove each one through your own lived experience. Schopenhauer wrote that the first 40 years of life give us the text, and the next 30 supply the commentary. But for men who have survived these toxic entanglements, there is no commentary. There is only a scorched earth and the chance to forge something entirely new, something forged in the fires of your own reclaimed will. History is littered with the wreckage of men who almost escaped. Do not be one of them. Close this chapter. Bury the evidence. Let history judge her or absolve her. It no longer concerns you. Your hands are finally free. Now, go build something that can never be taken from you.